the thread that I see with that could be helpful is when parents are seeing their kids going through good, bad, and ugly, like even the good, is the coach making that, like, is he riding the good and like telling you how great you are, or not bringing them back down to earth like they should, or if the kids are going through whatever, there's a lot of issues that could happen, right? Like,
Yeah.
is it?
Well, man, so sorry to cut you off.
Yeah,
but
no,
like
it's fine.
it's hard. Like I was thinking of this on the weekend too, more from the coach standpoint. But even if your parents like trying to have the conversations after a game or when you're in the middle of a stretch that's tough, I was having this exact conversation in my head between periods, after the games, before games. Like what should my tone be? You know, because it's not always clear what it should be. You know, and I'm very anti like rip the paint off the walls. Like I very rarely do that. Like very rarely. I really just try to talk to the kids and like make them like try to get them to see my point of like where we can be better or where we were good or where we whatever. So like for this weekend, it was our first big showcase tier 1 first year team, whatever. We went and we got those first 2 games were shit, which are like a lot of it we actually couldn't control, but whatever. And then we ended up losing the last 2, but they were close games. So, well, the first game was close. The second game probably should have been worse than it was, honestly, but we kept it close. Like we gave ourselves a chance and we battled. But so I went in the room after and I was like, I'm going into the room trying to think like, okay, so we just went 0-4. Okay. We just went 0-4. We played against some really good teams. Like we were outmatched for good portions of a lot of these games. What is my message? Like, what should I do? Do I go in and act like they're not good enough? Do I go in and act like is it their fault? Like, did they not play well? Is it something that how do I balance these different factors and give them a message that they can take out, right? So for me, I basically just left it off as like after the last game, I barely even talked about the last game. I was just kind of like, okay, like now we've been here. Like we've been to the big tournament now with the big teams. You guys see what your competition is, right? And like you need to decide, can I level up to be competitive with these players that are here in these tournaments, or am I unwilling to do that? That's the question. Because a lot of it with my particular team, like a lot of it came down, this has been my messaging to them over the last few weeks, is you guys are making individual mistakes that are costly. We're not making team mistakes very much, which is on the one hand good, because if our team stuff wasn't jiving, that'd be harder to fix, right? But like as individuals, like if you guys, like if you throw a pizza up the middle, like that's not a team thing. You know, if you get walked on a one-on-one, that's not a team thing. You know, if you decide to not be a good F3 when you know you should be a good F3, it's like, or you dive down when you're not supposed to, or whatever. Like those are individual decisions that you're making that are costly. So my messaging to them was that it's like, as individuals, you need to decide, can I level up, or how can I level up? Analyzing my own game, like how can I level up to make myself more competitive with these very good players that we're now playing? Like that was our first taste of it this past weekend, right? And that's what I left it as the message. I wasn't mad. I said it in this very tone. I was like, this is what it is, guys. Like you need to figure out if you want to do this, if you want to be better players or top end prospects to move on to higher levels. That's your competition. And the crazy thing is, like, they're not even playing junior. Like, these aren't even junior players.
No, that's the minimum of what you're going to get.
This is baseline.
Yeah.
Like, this is where you need to be at baseline if you even want to be in the conversation, right? So that was my messaging to them, as opposed to coming in and like, you're shit, you suck, this is not good enough, you guys, it's all you and it's not me. It's like, that wasn't the strategy for me. And I think for that's what I decided in that moment. Now, if that happens again, maybe depending on the circumstance, it'll be a time where I'm like, you guys are horrible right now. I don't understand what's going on. And maybe I would go with that tone and that message, but I didn't feel like that was the appropriate thing for the way that they played this past weekend. And I think if you can figure out, and again, this is coach or parent, doesn't matter. If you can figure out how to curate your message appropriately, where they would agree with what your analysis is, you know, then you get better response or better buy-in or better feedback. So like if you're talking about the Guelph Storm that are on a stinker, it's like if their coach goes in and just rips the paint off the walls, it's like if the players aren't actually playing that bad, then they'll be like, like we kind of did everything you said, right?
Yeah.
Like,
Well,
so
especially like because they've got 4 of their top defensemen out, missing top 6 forwards coming out their ass. I don't think they had a top. I don't think they had 5 of the best forwards in any game yet. So the thing is, you got to be careful. Is that you don't want to say there's your reason not to perform or not to play well or not. Like that's a built-in excuse, right? But on the other side, the coach also knows that if he gives if he just rips them for not winning or making mistakes or whatever, it's like, guys, if you go anywhere else to find players to fill roster spots right now, you'd be going downtown and finding the homeless and
yeah,
toothless. There's like like
yeah, there's no
you're like
players.
to
Yeah,
win games right now. It's
yeah,
like you've got guys that have never even thought they would be in the league playing just to cover for a couple games. So the coach has got to go in there and be as a careful message, right? If if you go in there and rip them, it's like it's totally not fair to them. But the one thing he can demand is effort, right? If the effort's there, that's one good tick of the box. If the execution is, it's not going to be perfect. It can't be with when you're um, when you don't have your real roster. But if it's effort and it's somewhat resembles what you're supposed to do most of the time, so you can't really be that upset. Um, so I mean, and the kids know, players know, right? That's the thing. So the thing you did with your team, I like that because first of all, it was the first time out, and they could have been totally never played at this level before and went, whoa, this is a lousy team or a middle pack team. They're real good. So that could be a shell shock, and it's like just that alone could be enough to have a bad day. Then the next thing is like were they actually was the effort there? Like obviously from your side you can see that the effort was there, or else you would have said we're not that good, but the effort needs to, like, you guys, you got to play hard, right? And then it's like sticking to a system, and then after that, it's sometimes you're just playing against better people.
yeah. Well, so the flip side too, I was even thinking about this after, is like, so for our last game we lost 3-0, and I was against one of the top end teams, and they were all over us. Like they were all over us, right? No, it was no secret. But I was thinking about even for their coach. So they beat us 3-0. They know that our previous games we lost whatever 8-0 or 9-0 to worse teams. So like, does their coach go in and rip them about not doing better? So it's like it was to the point where the game was still close. So like our guys could still chirp. You know what I mean? So even though they were dominating and they were in our end the vast majority of the game, it's like it's a close game still. So like you can't really chirp us.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So like I'm thinking from the perspective of their coach, like what is his message when he goes into the room after? It's like, and they played a good game, man. And our guys did a good job. Like our strategy going into it was like, you lock it up in the slot, you 5 of diamonds in the slot, knock pucks away, get in passing lanes, like break up chances, don't give them clean opportunities. And our guys actually did a pretty good job doing that. So like if the coach goes in to their dressing room after the game is like, are you guys kidding me? Like it's only 3, whatever. It's like, no, how about actually we did a pretty decent job defensively.
Yeah, give
right?
credit where credit's due, right?
To make it frustrating or not so easy for you guys to just hammer them home on us, And so either way, whether you're on the winning end or the losing end, like the players do know how they played, And so I try to be, just for me personally, like my philosophy is trying to be, like I said, presenting a message that they would agree with, So if I go in there and I say, guys, like the effort, do you agree? Like, do you guys see what I'm saying? Like about the effort, whatever. It's probably pretty accurate, and they probably will say, yeah, like we're not skating, whatever. If they come in and they do a great job like they did in that last game, like I came in, the first thing I said before I went into my little spiel was just like, you guys gave yourselves a chance, man. Like you did. You were knocking pucks away. We were good at getting pucks out. Like we gave ourselves a chance. That was the best chance we had, was playing that way. You guys did a pretty good job, And if you just go in with your message already baked in, then the players will know. And if you're parents, like it's the same thing. Like if you go in with your message, like you were talking about reflecting back on the conversation you had, whatever the details are, doesn't matter. You went back and reevaluated your conversation and you're like, that probably wasn't like the most appropriate conversation. And most parents probably wouldn't do that. Most parents would probably just let it ride. And like whatever the damage is, and they probably wouldn't try to fix